Hey everybody, it's Jim here, and today we're going to be taking a look at a new line of guitars from Fender Japan that was just announced, the Elemental series. A few interesting kind of takes and decisions as far as the design goes, but maybe something that you might be interested in. Let's have a look. So now we are at Fender Japan's website. Obviously a lot of this in kanji, katakana, hiragana, so we will not be going over the specifics of that. However, there are some key details that we will be able to find in English. If we click on one, we have a Stratocaster, a Telecaster, a Jazzmaster, and what looks like a jazz bass, and that's pretty much it. So let's go to old reliable here. We'll go to a Telecaster and let's have a look. Now the majority of these guitars are only available in a few colors, mainly being Nimbus White, which is pictured on the screen here, and Stone Black. These finishes are satin finishes, so I like the inclusion of the pickguard on these guitars. It means that, you know, especially something like this is more aimed at a modern player. You strum a little bit harder on this, you're not going to be going right through the satin finish on top of the body. I think that's a really good idea. On to some of the specifications, because there are some in English. We have an alder body, again satin poly on the finish itself, a satin urethane neck finish, which is going to be somewhat similar to something that you might find on an American Professional 2, albeit a little bit different. A maple neck with a compound C to D radius, so much more similar to American Ultra in that sense. Again, really going with the vibe of a modern guitar player, virtuoso style of instrument. 22 frets. We have a hardtail bridge on a Telecaster with two modern modified humbucking pickups that do have a coil split option on them. Outside of that, pretty standard stuff here as far as the tuners go. I do not believe they are actually locking. We will scroll up to the top to check to be sure. And a gig bag. I do want to make sure about the tuners. Yeah, these are just standard, if it wants to load, staggered tuners. These are not locking tuners. And real quick, you kind of get the same idea here with the Stratocaster. The only main difference is going to be the actual body shape of it, as well as the fact that this guitar is coming with a 2-point tremolo system, as opposed to the Telecaster that is a hardtail. Outside of that, extremely similar in terms of the specifications. And that leads us to the final one of the electric guitars, which is the Elemental Jazzmaster. Not much Jazzmaster about it outside of the shape. It kind of reminds me of a Jim Root in some ways. You got a stop tail, a two-pneumatic bridge on it. The two humbucking pickups, the same ones that come in both of the other guitars, as well as the matching headstock. No other kind of Jazzmaster appointments, but hey, if you wanted something more modern that did have the offset body, it's kind of cool that they included that as an option. But it does kind of also give me the 60th anniversary Jaguar kind of vibe to it. So these guitars do in fact look pretty cool. However, if you're somebody who's familiar with Fender Japan like I am, I immediately thought of a different line of guitars that this is basically going to be replacing, that have a whole lot in common with just a few minor changes. Well, two that I can think of off the top of my head. That was the previously made Japan Modern series. You also had compound radius necks, just like the American Ultras. Differences being you had no pickguard on them, and also, if you can tell by the shine here, especially on this Telecaster, you had a gloss finish. Outside of that, these guitars kind of look like reskins of the Modern series, just a few other colors that are not available that were left out with this one. I believe this is called Mystic Ice Blue, which is kind of cool, and a double bound Telecaster with single coils. They've kind of erased all of the single coil options from the Elemental series, sticking only to dual humbucker selections. As you can see here, there were several available from Fender Japan in the Modern series that had more variety, or, you know, traditional looking things, if that was kind of what you were going after here. But outside of that, yeah, there's some places that still have them. This place does not. I just wanted to come here and give a reference point to the pricing of it, as well as, you know, just some verification of the actual specifications. Yeah, the 2020 alder body, modern C to D profile, so a compound neck, 22 frets, 9.5-inch radius. I mean, compound 9.5 to 14-inch radius. Sorry about that. And then the modern modified humbucking pickups. So really similar when you're breaking things down. And I know I can be pretty hard on Fender USA, but this one doesn't feel like it's the most original thing I've ever seen in my life. Subtle changes on an already kind of existing line. Now, on first glance, I did think it was a little bit lazy, if I'm being honest, from Fender Japan to basically reskin the modern series and update it as far as the finish goes, and having the pickguard to give it a different aesthetic as well as functionality, given the finish is now a satin finish. But upon more thought, it actually makes a little bit more sense than that to me when you consider that the American Ultra series had a lot more in common with the modern series, the predecessor to the Elementals. Making the Elementals a little bit different is just another point of differentiation, so that Fender Japan has a more unique kind of niche that they might be catering to. And yeah, more kind of different guitars, different finishes, I always think is a good thing. But I'd like to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you think about these new series? Do you like these kind of modern Fender takes, or are you more of a traditionalist? I know where I stand on that, but I always like to present information when it becomes available to you as well. If you like this video or you found it useful, feel free, smash the like button. Really do appreciate that. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you tomorrow for another guitar video. Take it easy, everybody.